This last year's Converge International Convention of ICF, 1600. It was really fascinating. And here we are today. I'm really honored to have Susan Caesar here. We were just doing some intros. Kovacs, Christoph Kovacs, would you like to introduce yourself and your role?
Yeah, thank you so much for giving the opportunity, Edwin, to ICF and Susan today to talk about AI and coaching. My name is Christoph Kovács, and I work at Stanton Communications. I'm based in Washington, D.C., and I think almost 10 years, Stanton Communications has been the media relations and communications partner of ICF. So it's been a long collaboration, and the scope of work and all the activities we support ICF with is to do global media relations program and to try to tell the story of ICF. One of the key activities we helped ICF with the past couple of years were media relations activities around Converge, multiple Converge events the past few years. And that's how we ended up connecting Edwin last September, October. And yeah, thank you again for joining and attending 2 days last Converge in San Diego. So thank you so much for having us today.
Independent of that, I have been blessed to have a connection via LinkedIn of one
Mhm,
of your member coaches in Bucharest, Romania,
mhm,
Andrea. And she has been on our show a few times, and Ken has
mhm,
participated in that. She's so bright and smart, Ken. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh,
Andrea,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a terrific resource and presents her information so clearly and thoroughly. Yeah, she's terrific.
mhm.
Yeah, and we don't have scripts, as I guess you've seen by now, but we are well organized. And she just came right into it and
Mhm.
became a focal point. And of course, the camera loves her. We're going to have some interesting conversations today, and I've got all kinds of notes here. So I'm going to stop talking and uh, introduce again our special guest, Susan Caesar. She was just telling me about her background in the Chicago region, but first in London, about going into printing and the newspaper industry. Would you like to go forward and then we'll circle back and begin our focus here?
Okay, yes. So, I mean, my background, I started work as a graphic designer and a photographer. So I'm a creative at heart. But that led me into
Mhm.
a direct marketing organization. And from there, I understood the operational aspects of global operations, basically. And so my career has been working with global operations, transforming how they use technology for customers and for employees or staff. And so, therefore, my background is all about human-centered leveraging of technology. And that led me to work with most of the disruptive changes that have happened over the last 10, 15, 20 years. The internet, mobile, AI has always been a flavor of it, but it was really when I was working at Airbnb a few years ago when generative AI came on the scene, and that really changed everybody's perspective around AI, and that brings me to ICF, and what I'm helping ICF with is helping our coaches navigate the opportunities of AI, and also to help ICF itself think about how might we leverage AI to benefit the way that we work within ICF.
Trust. After reading this stuff, I see that trust is front and center in the world of ICF. And now with the onslaught, my words, of AI, and I've made friends with Gemini, but I haven't dared make friends with anybody else yet in that field. So I happened to look at Gemini this morning, and I asked the question about the role of trust in AI in the coaching profession, and they sent me this whole long thing, and a lot of it was quoting you, Susan.
That's nice.
Yeah, from Gemini. I'm not going to bore you reading all that stuff, but but the audience we'll learn about this now. So the idea of the coaching profession, as I've come to learn about it, it's one-on-one. I mean, it's a big name. ICF is huge, been around a long time, and Stanton is so well respected on K Street and beyond. It's the one-on-one trust, the coach, the person who's saying to a business executive, trust me. Would you please get into that from your view and how AI in the highest possible view of ethics is explained to customers, coaching customers?
Well, I guess so. ICF really is committed to improving the performance of people, and we are set up to support human-to-human connections or experiences because we believe that's where the most transformational experiences happen for clients. So if people wish to grow and develop and realize their highest potential, then that growth and development really is most effective when you're present with another human. And so coaching is inherently a human activity or profession in the case of ICF. And trust is a human, not condition, but it's an experience that you feel when you're in the presence of another human. So then when we think about AI, bringing AI into that space, how do we do that in a way that protects the things that are inherently human, wisdom, empathy, and trust? You know, it's those things that help the coaching session be the most effective it can be, because it's only in that space of trust that somebody will feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable, to go for things that they maybe hadn't thought of before, to reach for new ideas or to see themselves differently. So AI it doesn't sit well in that space. But what it does do is it helps support the coach in the ancillary things that go around running a coaching business. It's all of the tasks around scheduling, helping clients go through the onboarding process, if you like, promoting your business publicly. All of these things are administrative tasks that keep the coach away from the primary reason they're coaching, which is to help people transform, to help more people in the world realize their goals. And so coaches have more time for that high value, complex, transformational space if they embrace AI around their practice. And I know that there's about a third of our coaches agree that AI is becoming more prevalent in our profession, and as it becomes more prevalent in people's life and work, AI is something that's going to be part of our fabric, if you like. It's a bit like electricity. You don't really think about where electricity comes from when you switch on the light switch. You just expect the light to go on. And I think AI is going to be part of that, ubiquitous to the way that we live and work.
So what I've learned using Gemini, as sketchy as that has been, I've used it, including an hour ago, is prompting and making friends rather than fear it. With that in mind, of being polite, you know, because they record everything. And it's being recorded right now, too, by AI. And part of the ICF, as I understand it, and I'm not a coach, I'm a sales guy, but I'm focused on PR stuff, is getting somebody to trust my words and follow-up actions. And it's so fragile. I won't get into details, but I'm experiencing that kind of an issue conversation right now with a client. And at first I was like, whoa, I was aghast. How can they think me doing anything bad? And then I realized that it's all perspective and maybe positioning. And so I asked Gemini, how do you handle that kind of a conflict? And it came up with all the stuff. And I'm just amazed that it's like an Encyclopedia Britannica at your fingertips if you use it right. And you make it personal rather than machine-like.
Mm.
So coaching your coaches, training the coaching people, this is really the most important element now, isn't it? Well, in my view, I'm an outsider looking at it.
What the educational piece?
Yeah, teaching,
Yes.
because the coaches are really, I was so impressed with the educational level and the demeanor and personality of some of the people that I actually had good personal conversations with in San Diego at Converge. But really, that's what it is, because they're a customer is allowing basically a stranger with accreditations and all that, but into their world.
Yes, I think the coaching profession is it's a very privileged profession. We get to help and support people achieve many things, overcome barriers, overcome transitions in life, and also, go for the higher purpose things around realizing their full potential. So it is a wonderful profession to be part of. I myself am going through coach training for exactly that reason. I believe it is. I've benefited from coaching throughout my career, and it's helped me achieve more than I ever dreamed I could in my own life. And therefore, I want to be able to do that for other people. And we, as a profession, ICF, believe that coaching is a way that we can elevate humanity, that through the coaching experiences, more people can realize their ambition, their goals, and better people helps a better planet. And so it's good for society, it's good for our planet. And we want to help more people get access to coaching in whichever way they can. Oftentimes that's difficult, access to coaching, especially, we are a profession, and therefore accredited coaches are those that are trained in our core competencies, and they go through, like for instance with me, I'll go through 80 hours of training, but then I have to do 100 hours of practical experience coaching other people in order for me to get my accreditation. And that's important because it keeps standards and rigorous values associated with the profession, and it helps us then protect clients. So through those core competencies, we're ensuring that clients are getting the right experience of a coaching session, and that the outcomes that they are able to achieve are grounded in the psychology, the science, the rigor that goes behind all of our core competencies. And that's true also when we think about AI in this space. We created standards for people that are building technology in the coaching profession so that they're building that technology in alignment with our code of ethics and our core competencies, the AI standards and framework, because these things matter. We do it rigorously for coaches. And now what we are also doing is helping developers of technology develop their technology in ways that we can assure how those experiences are going to pan out for the clients that are using those technologies.
I want to bring in Dr. Ken Lloyd here in just a minute. About the coaches in ICF, and I'm an outsider, so, and just, I'm the audience out there now. So do you require your coaches to document what went on in a session with a client to prove the 100 hours were worthwhile? In other words, what was said, what was the response, what was the problem, what were the issues in coach-client communications, getting on the same page, and all that goes to trust building, and then documenting or visualizing or finding discovery, and then writing it down so that ICF organization can validate that the coach isn't flubbing it or isn't making it up?
Well, so when you're going through your training, there will be documentation around your attainment of skills throughout the pathway that you're on. So I'm on the ACC pathway. As I mentioned, there's, the hours that I'm going through on training, which is over 6 months of educational track, if you like. So there's a level of documentation to that. I'll keep a record of all of the 100 hours that I do to coach somebody else, but I only retain the dates and the times and the names of the people that I've coached, obviously with their consent. And that's just to prove that I have legitimately invested my time in those 100 hours. But then when you're ready to get your certification, your accreditation, you only submit one example of a coaching session where you are displaying hopefully as many of the core competencies as you can within that 1 hour session. So that's what you submit at the point that you are ready for your accreditation.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, just real quickly.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Hearing this really terrific focus that Susan has mentioned and the role that Christoph has played in conjunction with the organization, it's fascinating. I was very curious as to your thoughts regarding AI and coaching. And what's so nice to hear is that you see it in a support role and it's not there coaching people. That can get very scary. And you talk about wisdom and empathy and trust, these very important human qualities, whereas AI can certainly provide a great deal of support and certainly handling a lot of the administrative side of it, as well as generating some ideas, perhaps, for the coach to think about, but not to sit there and just turn it over to AI. And I really like the difference between knowledge, which I think AI has a lot of knowledge, but wisdom is far more on the human side. And it's so important. Even when it comes down to feedback to employees, we talk about managers today thinking of themselves more as leaders and coaches as opposed to disciplinarians or authoritarians or any of that. Think of yourself in that coaching role and to obtain some, if you will, training in how to coach your team. So such a very important area. Really like the overlap that you have with AI on this. I appreciate your comments on that.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, the AI technology that is being built specifically for the coaching profession, and the predominant the main platforms there are being built in ways that are aligned to our code of ethics and our core competencies. And so the more that they are present in organizations, the more access people within that organization have to coaching. Because previously it was, a privileged service, if you like, that was retained for the C-suite or the executives within that organization. But through these platforms, you now can get people throughout the organization benefiting from coaching. And I think the more that people see access to that, the more it creates demand for coaching, whether that's connected to your employment or whether it's actually on a personal front. You may become more aware of how coaching is transformational for you and therefore making decisions about how it becomes part of your life's tapestry, if you like. But within organizations, it's making those coaching skills more prevalent for leaders and managers. And we see that as a trend. It's one of the things that we are developing new courses and programs around coaching skills for leaders and managers. And that's going to be an area of growth for sure. And the platforms, I think, also open up access where people perhaps may not have had perhaps the economic background or the opportunity to spend money on coaching. The access to platforms enables people to get coaching-like experiences. They're not exactly the same as what you would have with a coach, but you are able to think out loud. You are able to get some exploration kind of role play around communication skills, for instance, and thinking about goal attainment. And I think AI, we acknowledge that it's part of our innovation of life. It's part of what's happening to our ways of working and our life. And therefore, ICF is not saying AI is a bad thing. AI, if it's developed appropriately, if it's created in a way that's ethical, actually does have value for clients. And what we are doing in that space, so as ICF, we are creating ways that we can provide levels of assurances for people. So if you're an HR leader selecting a tool for your organization, we've got some guidance to help you ask the right questions of those providers so that you're picking a tool that is built in line with our code of ethics and our core competencies. And if you're an individual and you're thinking about how you might leverage AI, what we're doing is we're making sense of the market for you. And we're also going to be building tools that can test the assurance of those tools. So we're building AI not to compete in the market, but to make sense of the market and to vet and validate the technology that's out there. So that's actively what we're doing at the moment to really create more rigorous standards around AI, specifically for the coaching profession.
This is really interesting. This is a book that Ken Lloyd wrote a few years ago. I don't know if you can see it. Camera's a little screwy here. There's more than 300 pages of wisdom here. And this is before AI. And the title of this is Performance Appraisals and Phrases for Dummies. So, Ken, I'm making jokes, but I'm really honored to have you on the show again. This is a pleasure to promote for you, frankly. But the wisdom that you've written about in that book for managers, dummies, I know it's comical, but it's a bestseller, and that's volume 2. Ken?
It's interesting because I do talk about AI in it, and more on this from the standpoint of, just as Susan mentioned, using it as a tool to help you organize, schedule, track the whole performance appraisal process. We now have moved far away from annual appraisals, and we're far more into continuous feedback, regular meetings between employees and their managers one-on-one every week or every other week, as well as more frequent appraisals, such as either biannual or quarterly. But in terms of the role of AI, there's a caveat in there for managers not to let AI write these reviews. Number one, it's missing the whole human element, the individual touch. And secondly, employees know it. They can sense it when this was not written by their manager. But it's a very good tool for support, for coaching. It can give a manager some additional ideas to approach in creating a review and giving an employee feedback, and what we also call feed forward, which is frankly coaching employees to help them get to their goals, helping them understand where they want to go, working with them, setting a path for them so they can move along in their careers. The timing of what you're talking about, Susan, is perfect because we know millennials today in the workplace want more feedback. They want more focus on their career path, on their development. That ties right into the coaching function. And as individual managers and others develop their coaching skills, it'll really be fulfilling a very important need for this strong segment of the workforce.
Mm. I mean, how I think about that, so I've worked in corporates and leadership roles throughout my career, and what I see now is the potential with AI and with more access to coaching is you've got more signals now. As if you think about yourself being the head of the HR for an organization, you've got signals coming from performance development, training, orientation, and now coaching. So all of these signals can be aggregated up. And obviously in anonymized ways, none of this is personally identifiable data. But what it's helping, but from my point here, what that's helping you see as a leader and that C-suite, you're going to be able to see the health of your organization. So how many people are aligned to your North Star mission? How many of their goals and objectives are rowing in the same direction? Where might you need to spend more time because people maybe aren't getting the message, and therefore, how might you change your communications such that your culture really does bring everybody's talent on the same journey? So I think it's a fantastic opportunity now.
And talk about the straight line from the days, this is about Ken, uh, and why I asked Ken to join, because he has a wealth of wisdom from his own background in coaching and writing a help column as a New York Times syndicated columnist a long time ago. Ken, did people ask about coaching or coaches back then?
Uh, Not so much back then. They would ask about it in other ways. They might write and say, my manager has no interest in my growth. My manager expects me to do things the way we always did it. I come in with new ideas and what I would like for this organization, for this job, or for my own career, and I'm getting nowhere with it. So it wasn't really mentioned in the context of they provide no coaching here, but that's really what they were saying. And the coaching as a function for managers has clearly increased recently, and now supported by AI even more compellingly. So, yeah, I was writing the column several years ago. I wrote it for about 20 years, where people basically would write in about the other people they're working with, what kinds of issues they're facing, people problems on the job. So they wouldn't write in about how to calculate some formula for analyzing sales, but they say that, hey, my sales manager said this or that, or my coworkers are going in this and that direction. What can I do about it? So in that sense, it was a people at work kind of column. And again, of the 20 years I wrote it, 10 years were syndicated through the New York Times Syndicate. But it was interesting, certainly, to hear and respond to people with real world problems, some of which were so bizarre that, oh my goodness, that's really going on in the workplace, out to those that are more within the realm of development, growth, learning, employee motivation, employee training, and those kinds of areas.
Mm. And actually, that's, I think, another reason why we are helping coaches raise their awareness and their practical use of AI, because the more it becomes commonplace for everybody, the more that people will bring that conversation into the coaching session, the real world experiences that you just described, Ken. AI is going to be part of that. So even if you're choosing not to use AI in your practice for very good reasons, you may still need, well, you will still probably need awareness of it to be able to relate to clients' experiences.
Absolutely.
So,
We have a generation work that's coming in and is there already that grew up with technology and they expect it. What we don't want to see is them going to AI for career counseling and for coaching and without a coach involved. That can get very scary. We know that AI can have some questionable recommendations, outcomes, some biases in it that can create difficulty. But with the coach in the middle, it can be very valuable to both players, to the coach and the individual who's being coached. And there's a key role in there.
Well, actually, I think to echo that and build on it, earlier on, Edwin, you'd mentioned about your friend Gemini. I think I prefer not to give any kind of human attributes to AI, because I think that blurs the boundaries and in the future could be more dangerous because it is a tool, it's a machine. It doesn't understand the consequences of the output that it's creating for you. Only another human's going to be going to be able to relate to that and understand what the implications of a decision is going to be on the people that you're making that decision on behalf of, or the people that are left out of the room because of that decision. AI doesn't understand those consequences. It's only somebody with a lived, embodied experience that can feel the weight of those decisions and the ethical implications of those. So I think it is very important to keep the boundaries between the tools and the people. And increasingly, Ken, if your background with leaders and managers, now we have agentic AI joining the workforce. So as a HR leader, you're going to be having some of your resources that are human and some of your resources that are machine. And so I think that also changes what we need of a leader. The role of a leader is changing. It's going to be needing to hold that space that is about uniquely human, making sure that we have stewardship, that we have advocacy, that we have discernment and wisdom in our decision making.
I want to bring this down to earth, um, and I'm going to read this. As AI reshapes the coaching profession, give us some basic questions that coaches and clients should be asking as they decide whether or not to hire that coach.
So you said reshapes the profession. I think AI is inviting us to think about the differences between an AI experience and a human coach experience, and where to play to the strengths of both. So if you are doing things around goal setting or role play, AI does that really well, and there's a lot of research around those task-based things that AI can help people with. But I think where you need to do transformational things, or you're dealing with senior leaders who are having to make decisions that have wide-ranging impacts on not only your employees, their families, the societies they live in, that's where you really need somebody who understands, the human consequences of decisions and actions. And that's where a coach really, there is no substitute for that. It has to be a coach that operates in that space that can really steward those conversations or partner that leader in making those choices for themselves.
Ken, would you like to comment?
Well, again, you see the importance of, and it's a word Susan uses a lot. That's ethics. The whole ethics underlying this to make sure that it is being done honestly, fairly, transparently, and with ethics as a foundation, so that we're not wandering into a territory where we're really abdicating too much of the human side in favor of technology. That human side is so critical for all of this to be effective and that much more compelling. I read a book recently. It was fiction. My wife is a librarian, so I read fiction as well as nonfiction business books. But this was a book that I think the author was Michael Conley. I think it was called The Proving Ground, and it was about a lawsuit that was filed against an AI company because a girl was murdered by her boyfriend, both teenagers, and the girl, the factor behind it was getting advice from an AI bot, if you will, that had a name. And you mentioned you don't like the idea, Susan, of naming AI. This one had a name, and it advised this young man to end this relationship and to take the kind of action that he took. It's fiction, but some of the points in it were very, very much related to the technology and some of the biases that came in, the individuals who developed this particular AI intelligence that was called Gwen. I think he named it Gwen. But point being is that this full reliance on AI can generate real trouble for people, make life very, very difficult and arguably dangerous, as opposed to the approach that Susan's talking about, where there are key areas where it can be a great help on its own. It's there, certainly in a lot of the support functions, the administrative functions. But in terms of the human side and the ethics involved, it can take people down a very, very bad path. And we do know that AI can hallucinate, and that word is out there. We have to watch for that. And I remember reading that if you, at least not too long ago, asked for, give me a job description on a receptionist, boom, out it comes, has all the duties, responsibilities, and priorities, and it will say what she does on the job. Wait a minute, why that? And that's just, that's where it's pulling its information from. So we have to watch out for biases, as well as, I know we've all read about cases with law firms that have generated full legal briefs off of AI, which have been bogus. Fake cases, fake ruling, fake judges, all non-existent. And so We just have to be on guard and recognize this is a great tool. It's only going to be more powerful and effective. But again, keeping the human side and the ethics in mind as we proceed with it. And certainly in the coaching arena, it would be critical to the success all around.
Yeah,
Let's talk about psychological safety, Susan.
mhm. Well, I think for all of those reasons, our profession has always been based on ethics, and that the safeguards that are required when it comes to technology, they're different, but we are articulating what ethics means in the context of this AI technology, and we'll continue to do more of that. So I imagine we are working at the moment we've got a ethics group that is about coaching ethics, and I have a group of people that are around ethical AI. And so we're now thinking, how do we integrate those two domains, if you like, into the future of what the code of ethics is likely to be? Because AI, it's already in our code of ethics, but I think it probably will need to be more explicit about how you take policy and put it into practical use when it comes to technology. And in that space, the safeguards and the guardrails are really critical. So the more that we help technology providers build technology for the coaching profession with those appropriate safeguards, the more that we can help the coaching profession know which of those tools have a level of verification or assurance. And I think what will probably happen is, we would help people use those tools that are built specifically for the coaching profession rather than the foundational generic large language models like Gemini, ChatGPT, because those have been built with no awareness of what the coaching profession advocates for in terms of safe and trusted human development.
Can I ask a question, Susan? It just appeared from up here about cross-cultural differences in people, in coaches, never, and of course customers. What does ICF do to alleviate the stresses and challenges of cross-cultural coaching? Do you try to have a match of somebody from, for instance, your international event is going to be in Paris, which is way different than San Diego in culture, but perhaps not in the profession of coaching. It's the coaching of profession is it standardized, or does it move with borders and cultures?
Well, coaching is a human profession, and therefore our profession is a diverse collection of people that have many different talents, many different experiences, and we welcome that. That's just part of our DNA. If I think about, we advocate for diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and in the space, and our VP of DEIB, Dr. Akina Finch, and I work closely together to help our profession, our members, be aware of what inclusive innovation means. So how do they keep themselves safe if they are thinking about introducing AI? How do they help their clients? How do they help the sessions themselves? As you're thinking about bringing clients into your practice, how do you ensure that you're bringing them in a way that they feel they belong, that they feel that this space is safe? Because our profession doesn't work if we don't have these safe spaces for people to be vulnerable, to work with their coach on things that really matter to them at a very deep human level.
So I very much enjoyed meeting you, Christoph. You informed me that you're originally from Budapest area, and there you were in San Diego, which is quite a difference. I've been to Budapest a couple of times, and love the goulash, not to mention the beer. And there I am choking on it. But what else should we talk about here from a communications point of view, Christoph?
I think in terms of the initial topic you wanted to cover, Edwin, with having Dr. Ken Lloyd and Susan, I think the AI and coaching and how everything is relates, most of the things have been covered, most of the topics you have been interested in. So I wouldn't want to steal away the show and the original topic. And I would I would still love to ask Susan if there would be anything else to add from her side, if that's okay.
Yes.
Well, I think the key thing that I am focusing on at the moment, obviously ethical AI, that's something that the profession expects of ICF, and it's something that we continue to work on and find more accessible ways to bring practical guidance to our members and to the profession. So we'll keep doing that. I guess what I would, if people are listening and haven't played around with AI, I would advocate that they do. I think the more that you can experiment with it and have a perspective about it from your own point of view, and when you are playing with it, play with it from a place where you have deep knowledge. So if you are an HR expert, play with it from some domain expertise, because I think you'll be surprised at the results that you get. Always consider that you're in the driving seat. When you're using AI, keep your critical thinking. It does hallucinate. It will give you repetitive information. It will create things that are bogus, as the legal case you mentioned earlier on, Ken. So we do need to keep our critical thinking. But if we guide it, if we are very clear on our instructions, then actually it can be a very beneficial tool. When I think about coaches, what I'm inviting them to do is to think about how this helps them, this moment helps them reimagine what their profession is, what their practice is, what do they want to be known for in the profession, what is their purpose, what is their mission, because now they've got the opportunity to really dial that up, to be even more of that, to elevate the value that they can create in the world, because AI can help remove the administrative burden so that they can do that more frequently. So think about what differentiates you as a coach from an AI or from other coaches, and be clear that we're not competing with AI. AI is a very different experience. It's a tool that can play a role, but it's not a coach.
Fascinating. I've learned a lot from this, Susan, and thank you very much for talking to the audience out there. This program will be snipped and tucked a little bit by me, but nothing major at all. I think it's a clean shot here. And it'll be available later today or here, West Coast time, late afternoon. And
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I mean, it's been...
I will send copies to you. You could do whatever you wish. On the links, you could, I give you the right to chop it up and make edits and use if you wish. I'm going to place the audio on our radio station and the video on our network, starting with YouTube, youtube.com/@ Global TV Talk Show. I set that up in March of 2020. Since then, we've had almost 1,200 productions, and they're all available. They're free. Global free access, never a registration fee, because we want audience and eyeballs. And it's a free subscription if you're interested to get all the goodies going forward. Our network is based on LinkedIn. It's a fabulous tool. I've been involved there since it started. And there's over 1 million reach. Doesn't mean everyone will open it, but it'll get into their box. And a recent survey, just talk about the audience out there, current audience. Who knows what it will be tomorrow, but according to their figures, 60% of recent viewers of videos, business-oriented videos, are in senior level of large organizations having more than 1,000 employees. And that usually means cross-border. However, 30%, according to LinkedIn now, are in senior positions of large organizations having 10,000 or more employees. We have a whole lot of entrepreneurs and authors and lawyers and doctors and consultants of every kind, as well as people in Gen Z and others who are coming up in organizations. And they will strive to learn from this video because of the clarity of your messaging and the seriousness of ICF. This is a blessing. Thank you for being our guest. Please come back some other time.
Thank you for the opportunity. Really, it's been wonderful to get to know you, Ken, and you, Edward. And yeah, thank you for the opportunity to speak to your audience.
Yeah, thank you, Ken, for participating.
Thanks back to you, and certainly thanks to Christoph and to Susan.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Ed signing off. Thank you all and have a great weekend. Happy May. It's May 1st today.
Take care. Be well.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you.
Be well.